Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 149 of the Ask the Coach show, where PingSkills helps you improve your table tennis. Now, 149 is the 35th prime number, and with the next prime number, 151, is a twin prime. And also, since 149 backwards, 941, is also a prime, 149 is an EMERP, which is prime spelled backwards. That is exciting. Well, it's Throwback Thursday, and we're going to talk about the most important skill in table tennis. In the questions, we'll discuss the differences in style between the top men and the top women, why Mima Ito is so good at such a young age, and whether funny rubbers are going to be banned this year. I'm Jeff Plum, and as always, Super Coach Alois Rosario is here with me to answer your questions. Welcome, Alois.
Thanks, Jeff. An EMERP, right?
That's EMERP. Right. Yeah, because 149 and backwards is 941, and they're both prime numbers. So it's a prime and then prime spelled backwards, an EMERP.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. That's good. An EMERP. See, you're broadening my vocabulary.
Yes, well. Indeed. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
well, do you have anything about this day in history?
Yeah, really interesting today. Today in history, I'm just flogging through and trying to find it. This day in history, very interesting, Jeff. Percy LeBaron Spencer was born. Now, you may ask, who the hell is Percy LeBaron Spencer? Well, he was the inventor of the microwave oven. So how it happened, and this is interesting, he was working as an engineer and experimenting and testing a magnetron. Now, what happened was he put this magnetron in his pocket along with a chocolate, and he found that the chocolate bar had melted. So he made the connection between the melted chocolate and the heat-producing magnetron. So there you go. And he even tested it with popcorn, and it worked with popcorn too. So very important day in history. Percy LeBaron Spencer was born. Imagine where we would be without the microwave, Jeffrey.
Just imagining it now, yeah. It's handy. I don't think it's the best thing ever. It's not. It's good.
Think about the hours of your life it saved, and you can train more because you can just, like, after training, you can just come home, stick your dinner in the microwave, and you've got it done. Imagine if you couldn't do that, you'd have to cut your training time like in half to get home in time to heat it up in an old-fashioned oven. Imagine that, Jeffrey.
Indeed.
Percy, thank you from all the table tennis players. You have improved the level of table tennis in the world.
Indeed. Well done, Percy. All righty. Let's move on to yesterday's PingSkills question of the day, Alois, which was, what rules in world sport are consistently overlooked and turned a blind eye to?
Well, Trevor Hirth was the chap that gave us the idea for this one, and he's put a comment on the Facebook page. He said there are two in cricket that he's thought of. One, the bowler using an illegal action, so throwing in cricket, and also the Mankad rule. Now, the Mankad rule, cricket fans will know about this, is when the batsman creeps out of his crease on the non-striker's end. So those two things, yeah, they are disregarded a bit, and often players are creeping out of their crease. Now, for you guys in the US that don't know anything about cricket, that was just probably like Jeff talking about those numbers. Probably made no sense at all. But anyway, there were other comments, and a lot of it was around the service rule. And when I put that up, I thought, yeah, definitely serving is going to be given a bit of a run here. So Pedro said hiding the serve. True, doesn't get picked up very often. Brendan said the trajectory of the ball thrown up for a serve in TT, and that, Brendan, is my pet one as well. That's the one that never gets picked up in table tennis. And then they pick up a whole lot of other things. Mitch Allender said, a massive problem at our club because people choose to ignore the rules of illegal serving, but it happens everywhere and nothing ever gets done about it. Bob York said serving with lots of exclamation marks, and Alan said them serves need to be watched. And on our blog, let me just have a look for it. Yeah, on the blog, we had a comment from Johan, but not about that question. There you go, Jeff.
Right. Johan was suggesting that your day in history wasn't that interesting, wasn't he?
No, not exactly, Jeffrey. Now, you sound like a politician. What he did say was that this day in table tennis history would be interesting. So, you know, maybe a slight variation of my interesting theme.
Indeed. I think it would be quite interesting. I'm just wondering, you know, do we have enough events in table tennis to actually do that? And where would you find that information out? We should have a look at that, Alice.
Yeah, very good question. Yes. We'll see.
All right, let's move on to the PingSkills question of the day, which is, are there any new regular segments that you would like to see in the Ask the Coach show? So as always, you can get involved on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/PingSkills, or directly on the PingSkills website. So go to pingskills.com and click on the blog link. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so what we try to do at the moment, and some suggestions that we've had and that we've started. So on the Mondays, we try to review the tournament from the previous week, if there is one. Tuesday is Technique Tuesday. Wednesday, we do a drill of the week, and Thursday is Throwback Thursday, where we have a look at an old video of ours or an old, old blog or something like that. So that's what we've got at the moment. So, but I really like the concept of the segments, Jeff, and I think it's something that we can really build on and make it even more interesting for our viewers, listeners.
Sounds good. And because it is Throwback Thursday, let's look at the most important skill, Alois.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Like we made the original video of the most important skill a million years ago, and if you have a look at the original one, which probably a little bit harder to find now, it's probably the worst video we've ever made. Like it was, you know, it was shocking. It was like bad quality videoing, bad sound, everything. But the message obviously hit a chord with a lot of people because it was always one of our best watch videos. So the message of the most important skill is that
oh no, Alois, you were just about to give us the message of the most important skill and you cut out. This is terrible for our viewers. Now they're not going to know what the most important skill is.
Am I back? Am I back? Surely I'm back. Good. Okay. So the most important skill is to be able to put the ball on the table consistently. Now that is really important because if you can't do that, then everything else becomes difficult. So first up, really focus hard on just being able to control that ball well enough to keep it on the table. There it is. Very good.
And that leads in nicely, Alois, to me talking about the PingSkills Premium membership. And in the PingSkills Premium membership, you get access to a whole lot of videos. And one set of videos is a 52-week training plan. And the first 4 weeks of that training plan focus on consistency. So it really ties into that most important skill. If you're interested in taking your game to the next level, try out our premium membership. It's not just the 52-week training plan. We've got a whole series on serving, a whole series on returning serves. There's match strategy videos, sports psychology videos, lots of stuff to help you take your game to the next level. So go to pingskills.com and check out the premium membership. All right, Alois, let's move on to some questions. And first up is a question from Chi. And Chi says, Can you make a guess who is going to win next year's Olympic Games?
Whoa, that's an interesting question. Why don't we put that in as our PingSkills question of the day for tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'm not going to give you my answer now because I know who's going to win it, but I'm not going to give you the answer.
Of course you do. Excellent. All right. There you go, Chi. You'll have to wait a little bit longer. But thanks for the idea. Now, Brock has asked a question. He says, how do I reverse the same spin back to my opponent?
Okay, interesting. I'm not 100% sure what you mean there, Brocky, but yeah, so if your opponent plays with spin, so plays with some side spin perhaps, what you need to do is just utilize the angle of your bat. Now, if you just push that back like that, the ball will still have some side spin on it. So you're basically giving your opponent some spin back as well and reversing the spin. The other thing you can do is have a really soft hand and just tap the ball back. And if you can control the ball back well enough, it'll still have a lot of spin on the ball and it'll break sideways when it hits their table. So that's probably the best way to, or the best two ways to give your opponent their spin back. What we don't recommend is if they give you a spin, is to try and spin it back. Because if you're doing that, it's becoming a really low percentage shot. So yeah, so just utilize the angle of your racket rather than trying to spin the ball back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what Brock meant either, Alice, but I guess if someone pushes you a ball and you push it back, technically that's reversing the spin and that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if they're giving you backspin and you're backspinning the ball back, then yes, you're giving them their spin back as well. So yeah.
Yeah, but I guess people shouldn't really be thinking about reversing the spin, or it does get too complicated, doesn't it? I guess you need to think about like either attacking yourself, which means you're going to play a topspin stroke. So then you're really just focusing on topspinning it, and you're not really too concerned about reversing the spin or not. Of course, you need to take into consideration what spins on the ball, but I think it's kind of easier just to think in terms of like attack or defense. And if you're defending, maybe you want to put backspin on the ball. Does that kind of simplify things, Alois?
Yeah, I think that does. And Brock, you can let us know if that's cleared up your question anyway. I'm sure you're still on there, and you'll put a comment on, won't you?
Indeed, yes. So Brock and Chi are asking questions live on the show, and anybody can do that by going to our Google Plus page. And the easiest way to find our Google Plus page is go to pingskills.com, scroll down to our footer, and you'll see a little Google Plus icon. Click on that, and then you'll see our show where you can click on the Q&A button to ask us a question live. All right, now let's move on to a question from Bertus, Alois, who says, why do women play table tennis the way they do, with fast counter hits rather than top spins? I've seen Chinese women like Ding Ning and Li Xuan do strong loops so they can do it as well as the men, but they don't use it much.
Yes, interesting discussion, interesting question here. So my take on it is that basically the women, there's a couple of things. One, the power involved is greater when you're utilizing topspin. So that's probably one of the main reasons. The second one is also to do with the female brain, and the female brain isn't as good as the male brain at depth perception and recognizing spin. So that's why they tend to play a little bit of a flatter type of game as well. So just different makeups of the human bodies, male body and the female body, different, and that's why they play to the different strengths that the females tend to have. My theory. See what you think.
Interesting, Alice. I mean, I'm going to stay well away from that one because that sounds like dangerous territory to me.
Well, my wife's not home at the moment, so I'm going for it.
Indeed. But I think, like, they do seem to stay closer to the table, but I still think Ding Ning and a lot of the top women still use a lot of topspin on their forehands.
Yes. So I mean, there's scales. You know, I mean, there's it's not a rule. You know, so some of the females play more aggressive and more physical games. And some females play, you know, really close to the table and a lot flatter. Some males play close to the table and flatter. So yeah, so I mean, it's all just on a scale. It's not like, you know, this is the men and this is the women, and that's how you have to play. But that in general, that's a bit of a theory.
All right. Well, interesting question, Bertus. Now. Chi has jumped on and asked another question, Alois, so let's just get to that one. He says, can you have a bat that has a pimple rubber on both sides, and is it allowed in competition?
Yeah, it certainly is allowed. A lot of players tend to have one side inverted, so, you know, a normal rubber on one side, and I'll just grab my pimple bat and a pimple rubber on the other side. So what that does is it allows them the ability to attack with the inverted rubber when they get more of an opportunity. So yeah, so it's definitely allowed, but that's why a lot of players play with one pimple and one inverted. Some players play with short pimples on one side and a longer or a medium pimple on the other side as well. So yeah, it just what suits your game and what suits your style.
So what are the most common combinations, Alois?
Yeah, so as I said, like in an inverted rubber or a normal rubber, most players will have that on their forehand side, so even if they're using a pimple, and then they would have a long pimple rubber on the other side, or a short pimple or a medium pimple on the other side. Some players will have short on one side and a medium, usually a medium on the other side as well, if they're more of an attacking type of player.
Yeah, so if you had to guess, what percentage would use the inverted on both sides? What would use one and what would use two funny rubbers?
I would say that 99% of players around the world would use normal on both sides, or inverted on both sides, and then, you know, out of the other 1%, probably, you know, 60 or 70% of those would use wrong. Probably about 30% would use short pimples, 30% would use long pimples, maybe a little bit more, 40-40, and maybe 20% would use medium pimples, something like that. Yeah.
There you go. Excellent. All right, next up is a question from Tam, who says, what drills do you think Tomokazu Harimoto and Mima Ito must have been doing to be so good at such a young age?
Yeah, so Harimoto's a young guy that had really good success. I think this was Swedish Open last year. Mima Ito, we all know well, you know, doing really well on the World Tour events, runner-up in Korea, and there's won World Tour events as well, at just 15 years of age. So what drills have they done? You know, I haven't seen their drills and what they have done, but they will do similar drills to everyone else. Just they have done it a lot. They have spent a lot of hours doing it, and they would have done it with really good focus as well from a really young age. So all those things put together mean that they've had that bulk of training. They've had good focus. You know, they may have had other opportunities as well. And that's why they're good. It's not like they have, like, these guys have done a different set of drills that have suddenly increased their level, because otherwise everyone would be doing those drills. You know, the Japanese Federation wouldn't be saying, well, Mima Ito, you do these drills and we'll get you a lot faster. But you know, another Japanese player, you can do those drills, and you're not going to get that much better faster. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense. So they're just doing the same drills, doing them a lot, and doing them from a really young age.
Yeah, and I guess at the moment, Alice, there's no real, like you said, no real secrets that, you know, one country might have, that secret training methods that other people don't know about. And a lot of countries now, allow people to come in and train together. So, a lot of players might train in China. So I don't think there's any secrets anymore.
So, Jeff, do you think that the Chinese have got some secret training methods?
No, I don't think they do. I think they, share all their training methods.
I would have to agree with you. For the first time today, Jeff, I agree with you. So, yeah, I mean, there's no real secrets to what the Chinese are doing. There's a lot of Chinese players. They train really hard. They are great because they train so hard, train so well, and there are so many Chinese players. So, yeah, it's not like, that they're doing some secret drills. It's not happening.
All right. Well, thanks for the question, Tam. Now, Kustar has said, I have heard that funny rubbers are going to be banned from 2015. Is it true?
Well, firstly, funny rubbers, Kustar. So when we talk about funny rubbers, we talk about long pimples usually, or short pimples, usually a pimple rubber or an anti-spin rubber. And some people would say that they're just not that funny at all. But there's no talk of them being banned. They're here to stay for a really long time. Yeah, a lot of people might wish that they were banned, but no, they're not going to be banned, Kustar. And I think they're a really interesting part of the game. It makes the game have some different dimensions as well. So I think they're great.
Yeah, they are. And also, Alois, once you get used to playing against them and understand what happens with the spin against those funny rubbers, it really does make it easier to play against them, and people would enjoy it more once they just spend a bit of time understanding what happens when you play against that type of rubber.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just good learning. It's just something new, something different. It's great. Just get out there and play against them, use them, see what you think.
Brilliant. All right. Well, that wraps up episode 149. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you check out our website, PingSkills.com. And if you haven't, sign up for our free newsletter. We send out tips on a weekly basis to help you improve your game. So, yeah, sign up at PingSkills.com. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. And thank you, Alois.
Thanks, Jeff. And see you tomorrow for the big 150. Woohoo! 150.
Yeah, 150. Wow. Thanks, everyone.
That's a lot. That's a big number.